Oh no no, oh no no, it's another episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. You've entered the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
Welcome back to the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker on this October 21st, 2020. Brendan and Greg and myself are here, and we have our very first live guest, and that is Belinda Carrol, who is a very well-known comedian here in Portland, Oregon. She's the founder of the Portland Queer Comedy Festival, and she has lowered herself to our level to join in our particular broadcast today. We're podcast, not a broadcast, where our client, and we have a new client today. It's an unusual client. It's Irish Halloween Turnip. So that obviously is going to beg a lot of questions. So I'll just start off and define what that means. Irish Halloween Turnip used to be, way back when, turnips were used in Ireland as the jack-o'-lanterns were carved and the candles were placed within the turnip to be the decorative thing for Halloween. And then when the Irish moved to the United States, they found that pumpkins worked better as lanterns because they were much bigger. So that's the essential definition for the Irish Halloween turnip. Now, for those of you out there who may be like me, don't actually know where the word Halloween comes from, I'm just curious if you guys have a clue as to where it comes from.
All Hallows Eve?
Uh-huh. But what does that mean?
Oh, it's some religious thing, like when all the ghosts and goblins come up. They
Yeah.
talk about in the Bible, maybe?
They talk about ghosts and goblins
The
in the Bible.
goblins and the
Was
mummies.
was it like Luke chapter goblin?
When all the monsters come out and play and have a mash. They have a monster mash.
Well,
The
but if you-
Vegas.
Go ahead, Brandon.
It has something to do with when the membrane between the dead world and the live world becomes thin. That's what I understand.
Belinda, you had something you wanted to add to that?
Oh, is it like a pagan thing? I don't know.
Well, basically, first of all, we should define what the word hollow means, and I had to actually look that up today. I realized that all these years didn't really know what it meant. So hollow is essentially a saintly or holy person. So whenever you have All Hallows Eve, the next day was All Hallows Day. So Hallows was a celebration of the saints and the dead. And so the evening is obviously the night before, but there's something called a triduum, which is it's essentially a 3-day celebration way back when, where you had All Hallows Eve, All Hallows Day, and then All Souls Day, which was the third one. So you celebrated the
That's what you
saints.
told Aretha Franklin.
That's right, where essentially all of the Irish lantern turnip carriers were sounding like Aretha Franklin when they were calling out for their friends as they wandered through. But
Did
there's
they
a whole.
dress slutty back then? Did they dress all
Yeah,
slutty and
no.
sexy?
I knew
that
that
part
you
of it?
were going to be
No,
getting
no,
into
no,
that
no.
part.
She was very deep into her work with the Staple Sisters, and so she was only doing gospel then, which is why it was All Souls Day.
Oh, I didn't know this.
You just
And
confused Greg.
no one does. It's a sad part of history. We never talk about it anymore.
Yeah, it's not even drunk history anymore. It's just, what do you call it, Greg? It's like drunk yet sober history or something?
Well, that's what people
If
do on
Christians can make the world
Halloween.
6,000 years, I can make Aretha Franklin immortal.
So Aretha Franklin has nothing to do with it. You'll be the one behind Aretha Franklin's immortality.
Not her talent. her
No,
skill.
it's just because Belinda's like, I picked this person. I will make her immortal.
Belinda will give her great PR. That's all she needed. A good PR spin was what you needed.
forever.
Well, apparently there's like a whole story behind the turnip thing happening too. So it's essentially like an Irish tradition. So there was this guy named Stingy Jack. And
Come on. You made that up.
I did not make it
Stingy
up.
Jack.
Stingy Jack. And apparently he played jokes on the devil. He like tricked the devil into doing things for him. And so after he got these tricks done, because of that, God wouldn't let him into heaven and the devil wouldn't let him into hell. So essentially he had this turnip with a candle in it where he had to travel around for the rest of I guess, throughout purgatory forever, carrying this lantern. And so he was called Jack of the Lantern, Stingy Jack, Jack of the Lantern. And that's where Jack O'Lantern comes from, is from this guy, Stingy Jack, somewhere in Ireland. So it's like I learned things today. One of which is that Aretha Franklin, apparently, she could possibly take over for Stingy Jack, but I think she needs to find ways to trick
It'd be way more entertaining. Think about it.
It would be. If you had Aretha Franklin wandering through the
with a
corridors,
lantern, and she'd be singing a thing, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm changed!" Like it'd be amazing.
She's definitely up in heaven, though. She made it into heaven,
Right?
Aretha.
what song do you think that she would be singing as part of her purgatory? She would have to probably sing "It's a Small World" all the time.
No.
That's horrible.
No.
Why are we wasting Aretha Franklin?
Well, it's purgatory, so she'd be stuck doing something she didn't like to do.
Purgatory is neutral. I think you're not necessarily unhappy to be in purgatory. You're also not necessarily sad to be in purgatory. I think purgatory is the soul neutral. A woman all the time and be like, "Man, I'm kind of over it." But
I liked the Stingy Jack guy. I mean, I think he's become my new hero. He said "fuck you" to both establishments, and then he has to wander around with a turnip. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
This is like the Johnny Appleseed of spiritual "fuck you."
And radishes, too. The Johnny Radish seed.
Yeah.
Well, I think radishes might be a little small, but apparently beets were also used for the purpose of lighting candles and using as a lantern. So I guess you have some pretty big beets.
also the origin of hip hop.
Which is the origin of hip hop? The beets.
The beets.
Oh, we've got puns going today.
Maybe they were genetically modified beets and radishes that were huge, as
Really?
pumpkin
They
size.
did genetic modification back then, did they?
I think if they modified a radish to be a pumpkin, it would be a pumpkin. It would no longer be a radish. It's like, when is a radish not a radish? When it's a
When it's
jar?
a pumpkin.
When it's
What
a
is-
pumpkin? It's a
When
pumpkin.
it's a pumpkin.
Yeah, apparently
Riddle me
this,
this, oh Sphinx.
My question is this gourd big enough to be a lantern, or is this
Apparently.
well, if it's bigger than a turnip,
Yeah.
and if it's smaller than a turnip and bigger than a
I
radish,
think
it should
this
work.
could be a good lantern.
I
It's
think
kind of squash, It'd be hard to get some.
You have to hole out the middle and then put your candles just right in the middle.
great.
Yeah.
I mean, Brendan, did
And
you
then
say
make
it's
your
kind of
holes
squash?
It's kind of squash
Oh, okay. I
with an
thought
ed at the
But
end.
it's a
thought you were
kind of
just
squash, too.
throwing another pun into the mix today. We've got
No.
the puns are abounding. It's a kind of squash.
Squash.
You're out of your gourd, Brendan.
Pun. Oh, pun
Delicious.
unintended.
That was very deliberate. So the reason that people start wearing costumes for Halloween is because when the All Souls part of it came into play, people didn't necessarily want to be recognized by the souls that were wandering the earth, so they would wear the costumes so that they couldn't be recognized by these spirits or wraiths.
But why did they wear sexy costumes? Were they trying to turn on the ghosts? Or?
I don't know, Greg. You seem to be fixated on this today. Why don't you give us some examples of what you're talking about?
Well, on Halloween, everyone dresses up sexy, like sexy
Apparently,
nurse,
the ghosts
sexy
and
Hitler,
goblins, sexy goblins, sexy ghosts.
Trump. Everyone dresses up sexy for Halloween. That's
Sexy Jim Carrey.
maybe
the
they
other day.
did.
Say that again.
I said somebody was sexy Jim Carrey the other day.
Was
He
it
was-
That
Jim?
sounds hot.
They were the mask. Do you know the mask?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were the mask, but they were the sexy mask. So they had a sexy
Ooh.
outfit on.
So was it
Yum.
actually Jim Carrey who was wearing the mask?
No, it
Could
was
be.
a girl.
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming she identified as a girl.
Okay. Well, and also you have to realize that we are older men and we're stuck in perhaps our way of speaking about things. So if you find us doing something that's derelict in terms of how we refer to someone, feel free to call us out on that too, because we might change. It's possible that we would fix our way of speaking to match today's issues. It just depends if we can get through our old habits or not. Like if a ghost is having trouble identifying as a goblin, something like that.
I'm not really sure where you're going with this, Matt.
But now she's a ghost.
I'm just giving Belinda free will to attack us if she feels like we should be attacked.
I think she knows that. I've heard her comedy.
Okay, what have you heard, Greg, that makes you think that she knows that?
I think he watched
Well,
my
that's-
slut walk set.
Your what set?
My set at Slut Walk in like 2018.
Oh, is that what you
Yep,
watched?
I think that's the one I watched, and I watched
That's
another one. It was earlier, but it was quite ribald. Is that how you say that?
Well, that's how you said it.
Ribbled. I never knew how to say that word.
Yes.
No, I just imagine.
Would you like
didn't
to use
say
other
that.
words you don't know how to pronounce, Greg?
Ribbled, ribald. Let's call the
Tangential.
whole thing off.
So I went and did a show after coronavirus for a dude in a backyard, and he called me, and he had only seen that set. I don't even know how he found me because he just called because I didn't have a website. I don't have a website right now, and so that's my website with like my phone number on it, and so anyway, so he called me out of nowhere, and he's like, "Hey, my name's Doug, and I want to hire you to do my wife's 50th birthday party." And this is after coronavirus. It's like in like May. And so he's like, "I want you to do this set. And so I have a backyard, and you just come in the back, and then you'll just do it on the patio to all of our friends and stuff." And they were like, "It's a party that we're having, but you won't actually come in contact with people. You just do the party, then you'll leave." And I was like, "Well, coronavirus, whatever." And then I was like, "This is like what I get paid normally, like whatever." And so he offered me a tidy sum to do that. And I was like, "Okay." So I came and I literally put the microphone down, put the PA down, and then just went into my set. It was the weirdest fucking thing. So I look out in the audience, and it's all children.
Oh, no.
No way.
Yeah.
You were like the party
the
clown?
and the daughter, and the mom wanted to be a lesbian real bad when she was a kid, and she thinks it's over. And so she was like sitting there. And now, mind you, they hired me based on my slut walk set. So they hired me based on the set on the internet. So I was like, "Well, then that's what you're getting, and you're getting it for an hour." And so he was like, "I want you to do that for an hour. My wife loves raunchy comedy, and she's super into it, and whatever." And I was like, "Okay." And then I showed up, and then it was just like 4 adults in the front, and then like 20 children.
Like
and
toddlers, or what was the age
like
group?
daughters and sons and like whatever. But it was like everywhere from probably like 8 to like 20. Like children.
Welcome, kids.
Oh yeah, I did too. I was like, "Fuck you. Like you hired me. I spent time thinking about what I was gonna say to you today based on this conversation that your wife likes raunchy comedy. So you're the one that having to pay for therapy."
Did you talk about masturbating to Rachel Maddow to the kids? Did you teach them?
Yeah. I mean, I did the whole thing because that's what he wanted. Like he wanted me to do an hour of my comedy. So, I mean, the Rachel Maddow thing is just a genre song anyway. So it's not really like you can, like, if you were under a certain age and you didn't know what those words meant and you weren't able to like politically connect those words to actions, then you wouldn't know. Because I've done that song to kids before. I've done that song to like 7-year-olds, and they were like, "You have a pretty voice," you know.
No, I'm talking about the bit where you say that you want to masturbate to her. You masturbate to her in hotel rooms.
No, I said I've never been in a hotel room. No, I say that. Oh, masturbating in a hotel room. Oh no, I just dropped that. I just
To MSNBC.
I just dropped that line, and then it's fine. Yeah.
Well, no, the fact is that Greg does that too. He also masturbates to MSNBC, but specifically Joe Scarborough is.
Oh yeah, no. Good morning, Joe. That's what he's called.
I'm masturbating to you right now, Matt. I masturbate to anyone on TV on a screen.
That got kicked off of the
CNN. Yeah, the guy was like the chief legal analyst for CNN. He was on a Zoom call. He was also he was the New Yorker.
New Yorker.
And apparently he was doing things on camera he should not have been doing. It's like how quickly one's career disappears. That's just ultimate stupidity.
I can't tell you the tens of dollars I would miss out on if I was not doing comedy. I'd be
the tens of dollars.
I'd be gladly not a studio apartment. I'd probably be in a house with like a wife.
You'd be 100 air.
Yeah,
you probably do fine with a studio and apartment. You're like really close to where Voice Box is, and Greg goes there all the time now.
Is it still open?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I did not know that. How much is in an hour?
Thursday nights is happy hour, $12 the whole night.
Ooh, really? But you're in your own room?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you go and you wear a hazmat suit. You know, the air comes in through the ceiling.
I'm lost. What Voice Box? What is that exactly?
That's a larynx. It's what sits in your throat, and basically they visit your throat every day.
Matt, shut up.
Okay.
Shut up and let somebody answer the question, please.
It's a private room karaoke place in Portland. There's 2 locations. You can go there like Japanese style, private room.
Why would you want a private room karaoke?
It's really fun.
You feel better when you sing. So if you're somebody that does shows like me, then I can practice songs and then do those songs in a taped
And your friends don't throw tomatoes at you.
And if you have people that you know don't have COVID, you could go to a private room as opposed to being in a bar where there's a ton of people that you don't know who they are, who are potentially spreading.
In theory, you be in your pod and you do your whole your quarantine pod.
Yes.
The 4 people you like enough to hang out with.
Which is what we have. We have a pod of people right now, and none of us are touching each other, so we're safe right now, unless somehow we found a way to transmit COVID through the electrical currents that is Zoom or Brendan's fingertips. He was reaching out and touching us. Well, thank you, Brendan.
You're welcome.
So, does anybody know what costume they're going to be wearing for Halloween this year? Are you wearing a costume at all? Are you even participating in any Halloween activities in any way?
I bought a Maleficent costume at Goodwill for $4.99. And I will be doing my hair like Maleficent and being a Disney evil princess. Or evil queen. I mean, I'm 45. I guess it's queen now, but
sure, you could be the queen mother if you want to be.
Queen mother. Yeah. That's insulting.
What? Why is it insulting, Greg?
That implies a geriatric age woman.
It doesn't imply that at all.
Queen mother?
It just implies a mother of a queen. That's all it implies. It
They're pretty old.
Some of them start out at like 8, Greg.
I have a client that has a Halloween costume party. I'm thinking because I bought this black wig because I was Severus Snape for my daughter's birthday party. So I'm thinking about doing that, but instead getting like the skinny black tie and the jacket and doing Victor Vega from Pulp Fiction and just walking into, because I don't work at the location, and just walking in with the suitcase and my friend who's African American dressed, and he kind of looks like Samuel L. Jackson, and just kind of going in there like that. That's
nice.
Kind of my plan.
So you get
Are you going to have something glowing in the suit briefcase? Are you going to set up a little light in there?
I think so. I think we're going to figure that out.
I mean, like out of Repo Man, where they have the trunk of the car glowing.
Yeah.
Right.
People.
Right. But remember in Pulp Fiction when Vince Vega opened it, it was glowing. He's like, "We got what we need." He's like, "Oh yeah." So.
That's right. Did they ever answer what was in there? I can't even remember anymore.
No.
I was thinking if you have a black wig like Severus Snape from Harry Potter, you could probably go as Joey Ramone too.
Oh,
with a leather jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Combine the two, actually. You could be both Vincent Vega from Pulp Fiction and Joey Ramone at the same time.
Vincent Ramone.
Yeah, I think that judging my audience, I think they will connect with Vince Vega. They're not going to know Joey Ramone.
Oh, that's very possibly true. You know that I think it was in 2 different Tarantino movies. They had 2 characters with the last name Vega. I think in Reservoir Dogs, the Michael Madsen guy was last name Vega. So supposedly he was like the brother or the cousin to the Travolta character in Pulp Fiction. I always was wondering if there was going to be like a separate movie that would possibly combine the 2.
Tarantino does leave little droppings, if you will, implying there's a Tarantino verse. There's like an MCU.
It's like Tarantino's scat.
Yeah, he has little clues.
Track him in the wilderness.
That they're all kind of related. It doesn't really matter, but it's like a fun little thing he likes to do where it's all in the same universe, like the MCU or something.
You go through the forest and you see a Tarantino dropping. You're like, I know there's a wild Tarantino here somewhere.
No.
Fresh droppings from Tarantino.
He only leaves scat on Uma Thurman's feet. Let's be straight about that.
On her feet?
Yeah.
All right, I want to understand the theory behind that one.
He's a foot fetishist, Quentin Tarantino.
You didn't know he had a foot fetish?
No, I didn't know. I just thought he was just
I don't know
wacko.
About scat, though. I don't think he has a scat fetish from what I've heard.
Well, I wasn't saying that he had a fetish for it. I think it's just like how you could track him in the woods. You can find your very own Tarantino if you
want to hunt a Tarantino.
Recognize the droppings, and you could go through.
No, he does seem like a kind of dude that you need to recognize his droppings in order to hunt him down. Like nobody has his address, just like you know how to find him if you know how to like recognize his shit.
Right, which probably is shaped like little weapons, I would think. That's.
So it'd be all samurai swords.
Hey, can I share guys' advice? So I have a online karaoke party I'm going to Saturday.
Yeah, this is Dear Abby. So what advice do you need?
The person insists that we dress up. I never dress up for Halloween. I'm terrible at that.
Well, right now you're doing the hooded assassin from Assassin's Creed again.
Yeah. So that could work. I could be but that's a pretty boring one. But if you just have common household items and no costumes, Can you think of any Halloween outfits on the cheap?
Well, I did one back in college, which was a wire hanger that I put on my head, and I went as Abortion Man. So that was a very easy costume that I made.
Yeah.
And then another year.
I don't think this crowd's gonna like that.
Well, it's simple though. It's very cost effective.
That's a good one. I'll think of that.
Another one I did one year because I wasn't into costumes back in college. So another one I put all of my inner clothing on the outward part of me. So I wore socks on my hands and my underwear over my pants.
Revolutionary.
Right. Well, I went a little bit further. So then I had these fake plastic ears and a fake plastic nose, which I also put on. And I had these things, I can't remember what they were called, but they were these balls that had faces on them. So I put one of those in the front of my underwear too. And so inside the underwear, so that, you could see the facial outline through the underwear. And I had to figure out what was this costume that I was wearing. And so people asked me, and I finally figured out, I was the new line of underwear for Mr. Potato Head. But that was just using stuff around the house. So I think that you could be creative enough, Greg. You could use something around your house. You could put on a pair of sunglasses and you could be the Unabomber right now. If you put those glasses down on your face, I think you're set.
Does anybody remember the Unabomber, though? That's ancient history.
Well,
Is it a karaoke contest?
No, it's just fun.
Well, that's how the Unabomber was made. He was in a contest saying, who could you blow up? And he went, I could take care of that. And he wrote an entire manifesto, which I think is supposed to be sung.
But I'm going to kill.
Was that the Reader's Digest magazine, that contest? I think I remember that.
The Unabomber Reader's Digest contest? I don't know.
Is that the one where you draw the turtle and you get into art school? That one?
Yeah. You draw an exploding building and then make it happen.
It's like, if you can recreate this in real life, we'll let you into our school.
It shows follow through.
Yes, it does. It shows commitment.
I was thinking about being a mummy and just wrapping toilet paper all around myself because they don't want to be from the waist up. But toilet paper is so precious now, especially with the coming civil war next month. So I want to I don't want to waste my toilet paper on being a mummy. That seems frivolous.
Why don't you just do the sheet with the holes in it and be a ghost?
There you go.
That's easy enough.
But then it's not a good sheet.
Well, get a bad sheet.
Get a bad sheet.
I only have a few sheets and I need them all. I'm a pauper, remember?
Such problems for you.
Please, Governor, can I have another
What should I wear? Why don't you
Okay. Bag on your head, holes in it, you're the unknown comic.
Yes! I forgot about him. Thank you.
There we go.
I'll have to get a paper bag, though. How much?
You'll have to come up with a lot of one-liners as well if you're going to pull off the unknown comic.
Oh, I got 1 million of them.
Well, karaoke, all he has to do is Dennis Leary's asshole, and then everybody will be like, he's a genius.
And not even the song that Dennis Leary did either. Actually, Dennis Leary is legitimate asshole. If you dress like that, I think you've got yourself a very safe costume. As a matter of fact, it's, I think, recommended for children's events as well.
I'm about 100 pounds too big for Dennis Leary.
You should put on a dress shirt and a thin tie and leave your face exactly like it is and go out as a coked out 80s stand-up comedian.
I do look like that, don't I?
No, yeah. You can totally do that.
The typical scruffy,
typical coked out 80s stand-up comedian. If you have a fake microphone, you could just hold a microphone. Boom, you're done.
Maybe get a bunch of
powdered sugar,
powder under your nose. Mm-hmm.
Carry around your own little mirror and a rolled up dollar bill. So of course you need that dollar bill, though, don't you?
I could use it again. It's not like I wasted it. I'm not going to cut holes in it.
90% of the world's Coke, 90% of the world's money has Coke on it. So I mean, that's not gonna. You could use real Coke and liven up that Saturday too.
I definitely can't afford that. I can't even afford another sheet.
Well, I think she meant Coca-Cola, Greg. I think you got it confused.
Oh, Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Get that.
Yeah, she was.
I'm not getting anything out of this.
Snorting his dollar bills. It's math.
Oh, maybe.
You need to get more. You need to snort more of them, Brandon.
More money? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, you have to get the right.
Hey, I'd like to rant about something Halloween related. Is that the Halloween song list that people play? Like, oh, it's Halloween time, so the radio station is going to play scary songs, and they are loosening the definition. Like they're playing like "Man Eater" by Hall & Oates. Yeah. They're playing "Someone's Watching Me" by Rockwell. That song's just about a paranoid guy. There's nothing supernatural or spooky about it. It's just like, that song's not scary. It's not the Monster Mash or Black Magic Woman. They're loosening the standards of what is allowed on Halloween radio, and I don't like it. Man Eater by Hall & Oates. There's nothing scary about that song. He's talking about a woman who goes through a lot of men.
But what if she's an actual cannibal, though? What if it was actually a literal definition of it? Well, but you don't necessarily know that. Maybe she really was a cannibal.
That's another song.
And he just made it a little lighter for normal consumption on the radio.
He censored himself.
Right. He was like, people can't really handle a song about a woman actually eating men.
About cannibalism.
Right. And so I need to say, okay, well, she's just really into like going through guys, but she, in reality, so it could actually legitimately work. And then someone's watching me. Wasn't that like a song that was written by Michael Jackson or something, that Rockwell song?
Well, I know he sang on it. I don't know if he wrote it.
Well, see, there you go. So if Michael Jackson's actually on that record, that's another frightening aspect of that record, especially if he's talking about Michael Jackson is watching him, right? So
he was kind of monstrous.
You can tie that all in. You could do that, Greg.
I know. I just think it's loosely. It's like you could say, "Whoa, ho, ho! It's magic," because magic is supernatural.
Yeah,
it's part of Halloween.
You just have problems with things. That's all.
I do.
Fit your
I'm a grumpy old man.
Where's the station? Are you in Tampa?
No.
No, Greg is in Portland.
I don't listen to the radio necessarily, but like at work, I have a manager who's like, I made a Halloween set list, and I hear these songs at the supermarket.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah, Greg works at Burgerville, so he's got to deal with the music coming through the Burgerville speakers.
No. Since COVID, everyone gets to play their own shit because nobody's in the restaurant anymore. We're just drive-through, so people can play whatever they want.
So have you been doing all punk music while you've been there, Greg?
I don't ever have a choice because my phone's I don't know how to do it. I'm an old man who doesn't know how to hook it up to the speaker, so I have to listen to all these young kids' shitty music all day.
You keep saying you're an old man, and I'm older than everybody here, and I could figure that stuff out.
But you're young at heart. And physically, I'm like 80. I've treated myself badly.
Mentally, you're 93. Yeah, I'm spry. So that's the first word people use. Like, man, he's nearly 5,000 pounds. He's the spryest guy I've ever seen.
You're supple as a fawn, Matt, for your age.
A fawn. That's right. I go bouncing around, playing my pan flutes.
Let me ask you guys, what's your favorite Halloween theme song? What's your favorite spooky Monster Mash?
No, I'm really not a fan of Monster Mash. One that's kind of become a favorite of mine over the last number of years is a song called Moon Over Bourbon Street from Sting.
Ooh, I like that song.
Yeah.
Oh, so Interview with a Vampire.
Was it in that movie?
No, it's based on that. That's based on Anne Rice's character.
Oh, I didn't know it had anything to do with vampires.
Oh,
I think it just had to do with somebody who was like kind of like a serial killer or something because he's like staring through people's windows.
My favorite Halloween song is Problematic because it's Thriller.
Oh.
I know. I keep trying to change it.
Just listen to the Vincent Price part of it and you'll be fine.
Well, that part alone is 7 minutes long, so.
Yeah, so if you just listen to the Vincent Price part and then just cut it off of that stage, it combine that with maybe the beginning of the song Nights in White Satin from Moody Blues, you have a really good spoken word thing going on.
Sure.
Brendan, what's your favorite?
I think Werewolves in London.
Oh, yeah. That's a perennial.
Oh, that's a fun one.
If we're going to go with a Warren Zevon one, I would rather go with Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner for Halloween.
Yes, that's a good Halloween song.
Over Werewolves of London. Mainly because it's more Halloween-esque, in my opinion, because the guy doesn't have a head, which kind of evokes the whole Ichabod Crane Headless Horseman thing. Instead, he's a headless Thompson gunner going around shooting people in South Africa who did him wrong.
I know, but I like Werewolves of London because it goes, ooh, and you can do that.
Yeah. Well, Greg does that nearly every episode. He has some howling that happens.
Some neurological incident where I have to howl.
Yes. Between Greg's howlings and Matt's mini strokes, it's always it's always a show.
This is like a Jerry Lewis telethon here. Our podcast.
Yes, we're raising money for the
kids. Are standing by. We need money for these old men.
They're howling and seizuring.
Well, I take advantage of the seizuring to get more typing in. It's like it's all the same letter, but still, I get a lot written. Just
I thought you were doing it for sympathy.
It's just a page of Z's.
Yeah, if you're writing about sleeping, Matt, it makes sense because it's just Z Z Z Z Z Z.
Oh, Z's. A page of Z's. Got it.
Z's.
It's basically what I get when people listen to me talk.
Yeah.
More excitement. Matt's being freaking interesting again. Getting back to the concept. So apparently these 3 days, the period dealing with Halloween, is called Hallowmass. And I didn't realize it was called that because, obviously there's Christmas, there's Hallowmass, or All Hallow Tide is another term for this period. And it's just a very fascinating thing for me that like how things have changed so drastically from the original meaning of dealing with the saints to, as Greg has pointed out a number of times, men dressing like sluts. So that's what you were talking about, right, Greg?
And lots of women do too.
Men in nurses' outfits
That's right.
No, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about women dressing like porn extras. That's what Halloween's become.
They're the porn extras. They're not actually involved.
They're just standing in the background going, "Oh my!"
Look at the size of his
They're the
penis.
one who dropped off the pizza delivery man, and then they went away.
Yeah, that's a role. That's a paying role.
They're all the porn extras.
But you know what I mean? It's like so weird. Like, I wonder if in 50 years.
I don't know what you mean.
Brendan, I think you do. I think in 50 years, children are going to grow up thinking Halloween is the day where you dress slutty and it's all about looking like a porn extra or porn actor.
Why are you so stuck on this thing about people dressing slutty? People dress in
because
all
when I was a
sorts of
kid,
costumes.
Not when I was a kid.
Well, the kids don't dress like sluts. The adults do, but the kids don't.
No, they don't. But I'm saying even adults back then would be like, I'm going to dress up like Frankenstein. Now it's just like, I'm going to dress up like sexy Frankenstein and have a G-string with bolts on my butt cheeks.
Well, I feel like the 2020 is the year that changes.
Yes.
I mean, you know.
If your costume's only going to be from the neck up these days.
I just think it's just like bad enough that you should just do whatever brings you joy. Because like, if dressing up like slutty Frankenstein makes you happy, then
I kind of want to see Greg's take on the Frankenstein with the bolts on their ass.
I really think Greg just needs to clear his browser history and probably his cache, and all of those ads will magically go away, Greg.
I don't think it's women are doing that, Greg. I think it's the algorithm showing you what you want to see. So,
oh.
That's right.
I'm going to RedTube right when we're done, and I'm looking up sexy Frankenstein porn clips.
Wait, you actually know the name of a website, Greg. I'm actually kind of surprised.
You don't know? You never heard of RedTube?
Well, no, I've heard of a website before. I'm just surprised that you've heard of a website before. Because you don't own a computer and you don't know how to. Oh, that's the only thing you know. You just know.
I have a cell phone.
Mid-40s that works at Burgerville. I think he knows what RedTube is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
she pegged me. She got my number.
That's part of the test you take to get the job there.
Yeah, I mean that's like one of the interview questions. Do you know RedTube? Do you know YouPorn? If you don't know the answers,
right. Can you find the bizarre insertion category on RedTube within 5 minutes? And yes, you get to work here because that's what we put in our sandwiches.
Oh God!
Actually, if I was caught using RedTube at work, I would be fired
and then promoted.
All right. Well, anyway, how about those turnips?
Yeah, those little lanterns, those tiny little lanterns that would burn their fingers.
Turnips.
Turnip is essentially like a very large, misshapen carrot, right? So it's this long. Isn't that what a turnip looks like generally? Or I guess there are various different shapes.
More bulbous,
right?
I think.
More bulbous.
I feel like they're more like this shape.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they got a little dingle.
Yeah. But there's like a dongle hanging off of it, right?
Yeah, it's got a little
dongle.
It's got like a little goatee. Right, it's like
but you'd have
rutabaga with a goatee.
You gotta chop off the dongle.
No, what I want to know is who was responsible for hollowing out the turnip lantern, because I feel like that is a horrible, horrible job for anyone. Like, think about it. Like, how hard is it to hollow out a pumpkin, which is softer than turnip, and then also you would have to make the turnip hollow enough that it would support both a candle and also oxygen to feed the candle.
I think in that period of time, since they had no other form of entertainment, that was probably the thing they did to bring the village together. It's
Oh
like,
my God.
this is turnip hollowing time to make your Halloween lanterns here in
Oh my God, I would have been
County
dead by
Cork,
25.
Ireland. What was that, Belinda?
I would have been dead by 25.
I think most were.
They
Why?
died because of the
That's
turnip
why.
shavings that went up their noses. They had to.
I'm going to say that we are going to carve some turnips at my house. So I'll let you guys know what kind of hellish experience that is. But based on the show,
because you're Irish, so you're actually going to go for the turnip. You're going to go back to your roots, your ancestors.
Old school Halloween.
I want you to do it and then report back on whether or not you would then make it a life choice.
well, here's the thing about
the broader point that there is a person whose job was, if you're ever having a shitty day and you're like, dude, my life sucks, I want you to think to yourself, somebody used to carve turnips for lanterns for a living at some point.
That's right.
Just once a year. Once a year they did it.
I'd rather flip burgers at Burger Bowl than that.
That's true.
Than carve turnips?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably cut my fingers off.
Whittling used to be a very popular pastime for people, and I could see them getting into carving turnips into whatever. There was this photo of one of the turnip lanterns that's available like on Wikipedia, which is what first caught my attention on this and made me interested in making that the topic of discussion. But then I wondered, like, how did we get to pumpkins? And then that was easily explained because, they were easier to carve than pumpkins, and they were more prolific here in the U.S., I guess, than turnips. They shed more light. But, I guess what we didn't get into is why we have the various different designs for jack-o'-lanterns, like the different faces that they make on them. What was the purpose behind that? So you can make a lantern, which is designed to just light up the area where you are, so Stingy Jack can find his way throughout eternity. But then, maybe he carved a face on the outside of the turnip so he had someone to talk to, kind of like Tom Hanks with the volleyball in
Wilson.
Right, in Castaway. So maybe the turnip is Stingy Jack's Wilson.
Did the article say that the Irish people used to make faces on their little turnips? I
didn't get into that particular detail. I would have to basically do some research on jack-o'-lanterns too.
They had a picture from some sort of Irish museum, Greg.
Yeah.
And they had a turnip, and it was definitely a really old turnip. I don't know how
the Museum of Country Life, Ireland.
Yeah, and it has eyes and a mouth. It kind of looked like that shrunken head thing on the Violent Femmes album. It's super creepy. That's when I decided.
Oh, Hallowed Ground.
It kind of looks a little like a mummy. But here's the other thing. Not only do they carve turnips, but they also carved mangelwurzels, and I don't know what that is.
That's a Dr. Seuss plant. That sounds like something from Dr. Seuss.
It sounds like a German mango. I'm not really. But
that begs the question: what vegetables were rejected vegetables where they tried to do something?
Holy green peas.
Potatoes didn't come into this, so you think potatoes would be good for that purpose. But maybe if you had a candle in it, the flame would make it just too soft and it would fall apart on you. You'd actually wind up cooking the potato.
It would heat the potato.
And turnips are much hardier vegetable than a potato, so that's why the turnips lasted longer.
I think it's because potatoes, much like cows in India, are sacred in Ireland. So you wouldn't subject.
You don't eat the potatoes in Ireland?
No, you eat them, but you wouldn't carve them and idolize them.
Yeah, but you don't eat cows in India, so that's...
You wouldn't desecrate them.
Yes, thank you for your fact-checking.
Well, you live in Florida. You have to be fact-checked.
Oh, I know. Let me do some math. Hold on. Okay, I'm back.
He's got a powder all over his face. Belinda, you were about to say something, know what?
I don't know. Right now I feel like Camilla Harris, and I just have to be like, I'm speaking.
Camilla Harris, isn't that Prince Charles's wife? No, who's Camilla Harris?
She's the vice president.
Oh, Kamala Harris. I thought you said some other name. I thought you said Camilla. Yeah.
Well, Kamala, I didn't think
Yes.
it was that much different that would be a.
Well, I was thinking Camilla is a different name, so I was thinking CAM as opposed to KAM.
Belinda, welcome to our show. And Matt is Mr. Quibble.
Yes.
If your pronoun is incorrect, if you use a word out of turn, he will stop the show to point out your error. So
if your ice clinks in your glass,
I will have to quibble on this point. I don't stop the show. This is the show. It's
you interrupt someone's train of thought. But anyway,
well, train of thoughts are meant to be derailed, or trains of thought, depending upon whether there's more than one.
Trains are not meant to be derailed. That's not a good thing, Matt. When trains get derailed, we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, but
real trains or trains of thought, neither one should be derailed.
But our trains of thought are constantly
I was involved in a train derailment. That doesn't.
But no, she had said Camilla Harris, so it was a person that I didn't recognize, but when I realized.
I can't believe you didn't recognize that. Like, you would not make it in the CIA because someone would change a very minor thing, and you'd be like, "Oh, didn't even see it."
Yes, well, it would totally throw off all of the intelligence lines that you're trying to create if you had a mispronunciation of the actual person you're supposed to be investigating. You'd be investigating the whole wrong person. So you're right.
Matt, you should totally work for the voting rolls guys who strike people from the voting rolls. Not Camilla. That's fake.
You're a hanging Chad.
Hanging Chad.
You're all hanging Chads. And actually, that would be a good costume for you to do, Greg.
Oh, yeah, you could be a hanging Chad.
That's right. You could put your name Chad on there. It's perfect for the election.
And I'll put a noose around my neck.
Yes.
No, I feel like that would be triggering to people that are like suicidal ideation.
Also, I might mention that given that our age, I don't know what age group he's talking to, but that's some pretty old news.
Yeah, that's
old
old
news. Don't you remember it's only old ladies who listen to this podcast?
That's true. That's
true.
I think 65% of our listeners will know what a hanging Chad is.
The party I'm going to will be people my age and older. So
yes.
Well, then you're good.
They might get it.
They might if they followed politics back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Or the late 90s, or one of the two.
Belinda, we have a predominantly female audience. I don't understand it. Do you have any perspective on that? As the only female we've talked to?
Isn't all your wife, girlfriends, and moms?
They don't listen to our shows.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Brenda's wife does not listen. My wife does not listen to this show at all. They're nicer people than we are.
My wife listens to my shit all the time. The last thing she's wanted to do is spend an hour listening to more of it.
Belinda, what was the best Halloween costume you ever did?
I'm glad you referred to her by her name so that we would know which guest you were talking about.
Yes, Quibble, Mr. Quibble Master.
I want to ask our guest Belinda instead of our guest Bunky.
I feel like that I've been gay long enough that like I've worn costumes outside of Halloween, and so I haven't really tried really hard on Halloween very often. I did have one time my partner and I went as Fred and Wilma Flintstone, which I enjoyed quite a bit. And I actually made the outfits, and she looked like Fred Flintstone. It was pretty great. And I was wearing the white dress, and then I made these. I got styrofoam balls at Joann's that were like this big to make a giant.
Oh, the pearl necklace. That's cool. Have any of you guys ever had a costume that did become a lifestyle choice? In other words, you wore it and then it became something that was part of your life?
Yeah, this Unabomber sweatshirt I'm wearing. I bought it for Halloween.
Very dedicated to his insult lifestyle now.
No, what kind of, to be honest though, actually for Halloween in high school, I shaved off half my head and half my eyebrow and half my beard. So I was half man. And so I did it for like a week. And then later on in college.
Wouldn't you just be half bald?
Yeah, I was half bald. But later on in college, I did it for like 9 months. And then I did it again, maybe like a few years later for like 6 months. So it did become this lifestyle choice. And people at the U of A called me half man. I'd meet people years later who'd be like, "You're a half man. I remember seeing you walk around." I was like, just like the freak. Wow.
I've never heard the story before. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Did you also shave half your pubic hair as well?
No, because nobody could see that. because I wasn't getting laid.
You would be the one.
I guess I could. It was more to entertain people. I figured I'm not getting laid anyway, because it definitely doesn't help you get laid. So I might as well do something entertaining with my hair. Maybe people will get a laugh out of it.
You could have found somebody who would do the opposite side of their body with the hair too, and because then maybe that would be the one you would have sex with.
That would have been we would have been a cute couple if I found a woman to do the other half.
You would have completed each other since you both halves. You like literally complete each other.
The origin of love. It would have been so sweet.
Codependent.
Yes, right. It's like you could never break up.
They don't exist without you, pretty literally.
So you'd be half the man you used to be.
That's right. Half the man I used to be.
I was just going to say, please, nobody sing that song.
I have to tell you that my current hairstyle is a product of my Halloween costume when I was 9, and I went as a punk rocker, and I had this hair. I didn't realize this until recently when I found a picture of this, and I had this hair, and I cut my hair, and my mom got really mad at me.
Well, you should know that both Brendan and Greg are former punk rockers in bands.
I'm also a former punk rocker.
See, and I'm the odd man out on this one, but generally I am the odd man out.
You are definitely odd. And a man.
And out.
You're not out yet.
Actually, I'm inside is why
You're waiting to come out.
Yeah, and a big fan of prog rock, which, we've discussed endlessly on several shows.
About how it's so much better than punk music.
How it's a piece of absolute garbage.
I remember when I did that half head in high school. Every morning my mom would be in bed, and I'd always kiss her goodbye, like, "Hey, Mom, I'm going up to school." And I remember reaching down, kiss her on the cheek, and she opened her eyes, and she just started screaming like a horror movie. She's like, "Oh my God!" She's like, "You're not going to school like that." And I was like, I lied. I said, "Mom, I have a test today. I have to go to school. I'll fail this semester if I don't take this test." And she's like, "Oh, fine." And then she picked me up at school after that, and she just dealt with it. So for another week, I still had it. And she was like, "Oh, you." She didn't like it, but she was like, "Okay, whatever."
She said, "Oh, you."
Oh, yeah, that's how my mom talks.
I thought you referred to your mother as mommy. Do you refer as mommy?
I do.
Mom? Okay.
I try to get away from it, but she gave me shit about it. So I still call her mommy. She's 86.
Yeah. But
she is senile now. She has dementia. She's like a child, so it works.
When you refer to her to other people, you call her mom, not mommy.
Yeah, my mother, I'll say. I won't say. Mommy said, like, I'm not Norman Bates. I'm not like, Mommy said I have to brush my teeth tonight.
Or like Mike Pence, and she's actually your wife.
Exactly. Mommy says I can't hang out with other women.
Mommy says I can't be real president. I just have to be vice president.
But isn't that the part of the presidency where you get to do whatever you want?
Well, no, you don't have much power.
Yeah, it's because you're the vice president. You're the president over the vices. You're the one.
I wouldn't be surprised if Trump wasn't a whole puppet and Pence was secretly making all of his decisions.
You think that's happening?
I
wouldn't
almost
say
wish that was happening.
I doubt that entirely. I think there may be somebody else pulling Pence's strings, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he's clearly like an actual puppet.
It's kind of, his head moves in that regard. But yeah, weren't you saying to me a couple of days ago that you had a big inflatable Trump doll that you were going to be spanking for Halloween, Belinda?
No, not for Halloween. Hold on. Thank you. No, I had it for my show that was the International Coming Out Day Comedy Extravaganza that I had on YouTube in conjunction with Northwest Pride and Jack Daniel's Jamboard. And you can find it online if you are one of the 3 people watching this.
Or listening to. We do have some people.
It's 6 hours of stand-up comedy and interviews. And it was really fun. It was really fun.
You know what? I want to go back and give you a full time to promote your show. So you're saying you had something you have on YouTube. Why don't you go ahead and take a couple of minutes and tell us, this was this past Sunday, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I already did it. So it's stand-up and comedy from all over the world. And then we did like little bits in studio. And so I had a couple of live stand-ups. And then I had a guy that is his own improv troupe. He's called Solitaire. And he does improv is his own. Like he takes a suggestion, then he plays all of the characters within a play. It's real fun.
Wow.
And then we had interviews with people from all over the world. So I had like all these headliners that are people, blah, blah, blah. Anywho, within that, we did, I spanked Trump live on camera during the show.
Okay. And did you use a paddle or was it like barehanded?
I used a paddle, and then I also used a flogger.
A flogger? Like a cat o' nine tails, or?
Kinda. It's like the one, but then the trailies are all traily. It's not braided or like cat o' nine tails where it's like individual thick ones. It's like a like that.
It's like an octopus on a stick.
Yeah, a little bit. Like just like a little bit of you can't even see on this, so you can't even see what I'm doing. It's like tendrils versus like big thick.
I think I had one of those used on my ass when I used to go to the sex club. This woman once she was a sadist.
Yes,
and she wanted to punish me, and she used something like that, it sounds like. It hurt.
You wanted to be punished, Greg?
I know I didn't. It was just like she seemed nice, and she was a sadist, and I said, yeah, sure, you can spank me out. Maybe I'd like it. I didn't know. I'm very vanilla. I thought this could be a new thing that I might be into, but it just hurt. It wasn't fun. It was just like, stop, please. Okay, sorry.
Can you poke me in the eye next? I want to see if that hurts.
Yeah, or if it's a turn on. Maybe that's a turn on.
Everybody sticks their finger far up a nose.
Give me a COVID test with a Q-tip.
Yeah.
It's like two of them at once.
Okay, now you know as well as I do that there is some weird dude that is into COVID tests, and then he's like, you've been in 3 times this week, you don't have COVID. And he's like, no, I need to know. And,
I need another one. That's your costume, Greg. That's the costume of the party. You just get 2 Q-tips shoved up your nostrils. And you're like, I'm a guy with a COVID fetish.
That could be, that's a good idea. I have Q-tips. I own some Q-tips. I could do this.
I'll pay $9. I'll just do it.
It's almost like the character in Little Shop of Horrors. He likes to go to the dentist.
Yeah.
Because he's a masochist.
Yeah.
You could go as Audrey, too, from Little Shop of Horrors, Greg, if you have a plant hanging near you. Or
that's true.
You could be Seymour. Get like a
I
little
own no
cactus
plants.
or something. You don't have a plant.
That would be work. Buying a plant.
You got black glasses, though. But if you got those black circly glasses, you could do Seymour.
Yeah, just go buy like a little
Seymour.
Get a cactus or something.
I'll be Fat Seymour.
You'd be like Little Shop of Arizona Horrors or something.
Standing beside me.
I love that song.
Don't need to worry.
So, Belinda, did you ever go to Halloween dressed in your dominatrix gear? Where you were like, oh, I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I got this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been a default. Yeah, because.
Did she say she was wearing dominatrix gear, Greg? I don't remember her talking about that.
No, she didn't, but I know that she was a dominatrix. She's on Wikipedia.
Oh,
that's true.
That's true. You do have your own Wikipedia page. That is correct.
Which, by the way, Matt, no one's stalking her. You sent us all that link.
Did I?
Yes.
Then I'm stalking you. I've stalked you, Belinda.
Stalk her, Matt. Thank you for helping us stalk Belinda.
You said, here's her Wikipedia page, and I said, oh my goodness, now I'm sort of impressed, and wow.
Brendan, I try to play stupid about things. You're not supposed to call me out on stuff that I'm playing stupid
about. That's why I'm here, Matt. Call you out on stupid.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm pretending to be stupid. Come on. I don't want to appear smart to people.
Matt's like, I had no idea Belinda was a dominatrix.
I'll give people a bad idea about me.
Forfend.
Here's the deal, Matt. You let up a little bit on the grammar Nazi, word choice Nazi thing, and I'll stop calling out you're stupid.
Why would I do that? Why would I want you to stop calling that out?
Okay, well then don't complain about it.
Well, that's part of the show, too.
All right, fine.
Quibble,
it all
Squabble,
goes
complain.
Wherever it goes.
Bicker.
We have the full license for this just in the title of the show. So it's
you're right.
We can get away with these things. Why do you think that I pretend to back up things that I don't actually believe in? Because it's part of the show. Oh, wait, I gave something away, Greg. Oops.
What did you back up that you don't actually believe in?
So Belinda is an American stand-up comedian, writer, activist, actress, and singer, and is the founder of the Portland Queer Comedy Festival, organizer of the Portland Dyke March, and is a co-organizer as well as date auction host and fundraiser MC of the Butch Voices Portland Regional Conference. So I was just decided to do the first paragraph from the Wikipedia page that I didn't know anything about.
There's one thing I'd like to say about Halloween. Do you guys remember we're supposed to be talking about Halloween?
Oh, what?
You remember Halloween?
No.
Are you sure it's Halloween, or is it the Irish, or is it turnips? Which of those three really, Greg?
Halloween. I don't really want to talk about turnips. And not very interesting vegetable. But Halloween, like, I feel so sad for the kids, even in the 90s, it already happened. When, like, to me, Halloween wasn't like, oh, it's spooky, supernatural holiday. It was our day to basically be like, run wild. Like, I grew up in suburban New York in the 70s. Parents didn't give a shit. It was just like, guys, go out, get candy. We were just roaming around till 10 at night, which we never got to do, and just getting into all kinds of crazy antics. And then, in the 90s, everyone got scared and was like, oh, you're going to get candy at the mall, or just go to these stores and we're going to be with you. The parents are going to stand with you while you get your candy. That did not happen when I was a kid. It was our night to run wild. It was like that movie, what's that movie where you're allowed to kill someone for a night?
The Purge?
The Purge?
It was like The Purge. We were just wild. It was like Lord of the Flies. It was like our night to just be fucking wild and just have no
So you were
parental
out
supervision.
murdering people, is what you're saying?
It could have happened. We didn't ever murder anyone, but that could have been part of it if we so wanted.
Did you do anything lesser, like kidnapping, some manslaughter, perhaps? Like unintentional deaths?
Lots of vandalism, lots of, it was just...
Did you do any random torture
vandalism
of people?
If that never came up,
interrogations maybe to get some data.
But when I saw these kids in the 90s like so neutered on Halloween, I felt so sorry for them. Like, guys, your mom walking around with you getting candy, that is not Halloween. Halloween was so exciting because it was the one night we could just run wild and our parents didn't care. I lived in a safe suburban neighborhood. There really wasn't much fear.
I didn't live in a safe suburban neighborhood, and I remember when I was a kid, this would have been, not the 70s, I was a little older, it might have been the early 80s. There was a trick-or-treater who was murdered, like shot to death by the door he was knocking on.
How could the door hold a gun?
I know.
The door murdered the boy.
The door he was knocking on, who had a person behind it, Mr. Literal, opened the door and then shot the kid.
Doors don't kill people. People kill people.
We heard the gunshot. I was with my friends. I was probably 11 or something, maybe 12. We heard the gunshot. We ran around, and it was the first time. It's like the Stephen King thing. Was the first time I saw a dead body. This dude was laid out. He was probably about 16, and the old man had just shot him because he was freaked out and scared, and I don't know what the kid was saying. Maybe he was saying some awful shit, but he ended up dying that night. And yeah, Halloween was crazier when we were kids, but I live in a neighborhood. I will probably, I don't know with COVID now, but pre-COVID, I usually have 400 to 500 kids come to my door every Halloween.
So crazy.
And you haven't murdered one of them?
I've never murdered any of them. I haven't shot one.
Good for you. Good on you, Brendan.
His door, however, is like
right on the edge. The door is right on the damn edge. I just leave it open so it doesn't get knocked on.
So what was this neighborhood where the kid got shot? What part of the world was this? Is this Washington or?
No, this was Albuquerque, New Mexico.
New Mexico, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that was probably just a drug bust gone bad.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Genuine drug dealer.
What was that?
All I know is we were trick-or-treating. We heard a gunshot. We came around the corner. Dude was dead. No cops were there yet. Kids were like, ah! And then we left.
Did anybody get the candy of the kid who was down?
Yeah.
I was sort of traumatized by the whole thing. I don't recall his candy bag.
He might have lost his appetite a little.
Maybe.
I certainly didn't steal it.
It seems like that would have been a perfect opportunity, because that's the thing in all this with video games.
I would have taken his shoes.
After the guy dies, they go through his pockets. Yeah, take his shoes.
If they were my size.
It was still pretty fresh, and the old man still had a gun, so most of us just scattered after we realized what had happened.
So the old man was just standing there still with a weapon in his hand.
Yeah.
So, Brendan, did that change things in your town next year? Did Halloween kind of not be the same? Were they like, no, from now on?
Did you ever hear what happened to the guy with the gun?
Kids
no.
around.
No, the internet didn't exist, and I didn't read the daily paper. But we didn't go back to that neighborhood. That wasn't our neighborhood. We lived in pretty much the ghetto. We would walk to more richer neighborhoods to get the better candy because nobody in our neighborhood was giving out candy. So we decided that the next Halloween we weren't going back to that neighborhood.
It's probably a good choice.
I also want to ask you guys, do you guys think
this Halloween they're not going back to that neighborhood?
I don't think so.
At least to see if the candy might still be there.
Do you guys think that the apple razor blade thing ever happened?
The razor blade and the apples?
Is that the razor blade and the apple thing?
I know I heard all about that when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I'm sure
did that ever really happen, do you think?
Somebody probably did it to somebody somewhere, and that's probably where
it happened. I think it was a conspiracy by the Big Candy to
or the dentist.
It's all Willy Wonka's fault.
No, listen, to encourage people to buy manufactured candy versus making their own.
My dad was a dentist and he used to give out apples. And I'm sure all those apples were thrown away because every kid was like, I'm not going to bite this.
Well, no kid wants fruit on Halloween anyway.
That's true. But
plus fruit equals betrayal regardless. So that nobody should be eating fruit anyway.
I like apples. I'd eat an apple, but I wouldn't be thrilled by it. But back then I wouldn't. I'd be like, oh, this could have razor blades in it. Because every kid believed that. Urban legend.
Sure, it could have been injected with acid too.
Richard Gere shoved a gerbil up his butt.
If it was injected with acid...
Was it a gerbil or was it an apple?
No, it was a gerbil. The Richard Gere thing was most definitely...
Are we talking about gerbil piping now?
I think it's like when you're getting a gerbil on Halloween and you're like, should I eat it? Does it have a razor blade in it?
Or should I pipe it up my ass?
Or should I get a little house for it?
Like all very good questions to ask oneself on Halloween. What should I do with this gerbil I was given?
Tune in next week when we decide what the fuck we're talking about.
That's always a question. What are we going to be talking about? All right, well, I'm going to take a break right now because this is usually where the commercial or the PSA pops in. And I want to thank Belinda Carrol very much for coming on to this particular episode of the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Belinda, is there anything that we can say as a parting gesture to point people towards where your comedy is, or do you have a website or anything like that?
You can check me out on Instagram, Belinda Comedy, or you could check out my thing on Pride Northwest's YouTube page, YouTube/Pride Northwest, and that's my international comedy extravaganza I just did, and it's like 6 hours of comedy. It's fun. Check that out, and that's it. And then if you want to send me money, it's Belinda Comedy on Venmo.
Belinda Comedy on Venmo. You got any PayPal or anything else?
Just Venmo.
Is there a particular amount of money you want? I mean, like specifics, $5, $10? Obviously, $1 million would be great.
Yeah, if you could send me between $1 and $15.
$17.87 is what she's shooting for.
On Venmo, everybody.
On Venmo. On specifically Venmo.
That's like the one app that I don't have is the Venmo. I've got a couple of.
You don't have Venmo? Venmo and PayPal are owned by the same people, but Venmo you just have the one little handle as opposed to giving out your whole email address. So it makes it good for fans to send you money, but not necessarily people that owe you money, where you can send them your email address and be like, "This is my PayPal."
Well, I use PayPal and I use Cash App. Those are the two that I use.
I don't use Cash App either.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
that being the case,
fascinating subject. Belinda, thank you so much for coming. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thanks, Belinda.
Is there any last parting shots you want to make about any of us here before you go?
Any attacks you want to make?
Anything about involving turnips you want to bring up before you leave?
No, but I do want to see Bearded Dude's Halloween costume for the karaoke night.
Which one is the bearded dude? We all have beards. Oh.
But
Oh, you don't use videos, and so you owe it to your fans to show them
one of these days
results of that conversation.
Maybe we'll put Greg in charge of the Instagram account with all the photos that we take of each other.
I'll get on that.
That's right.
What's Instagram?
Okay, good night.
All right, thanks a lot, Belinda.
Good night, Belinda.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Appreciate it. All right, now we can talk about her. I kicked her out. No, anyway, that was good. I'm glad we finally had a guest on. It was, I think she did well.
I think we'll never have another one after that. I think she was just like, oh my God, these guys. I'm getting 3 listeners. What's the point?
One thing I did notice though is that with the fourth person, or maybe it could have been like the technology she was using, because she would cut out a lot whenever she was talking, so we just hear her really muffled. Sometimes whenever
I wanted to say something and say let's put a pin in it and correct this, but I didn't know. I think
I think the nature of the Zoom technologies, that's how things are. Anyway, so back to Pizza Fund. So currently we are at $6.43 that we've collected since the end of June. So we're on our way.
Slowly.
Very, very slowly.
Tortoise-like on our way.
Is that like $1 a month, roughly?
Have we made that much? Have we made $1 a month? Say June,
Not
July,
even.
August, September, October. Nah, it's a little more than $1, like $1.25.
Yeah.
$1.25?
Yeah, $1.25 a month. So, what's that come out to? About 10 cents a day? Something like that. Big money.
You guys, we got to get Patreon. There's more suckers on Patreon.
We have Patreon, but what are you going to do with it, Greg? We have a Patreon account and we have a YouTube account, but we just haven't done anything with them.
And nobody's donated to Patreon?
Why would they donate if there's no content?
Content.
Oh,
content.
Stuff needs to be put on it for people to want to pay to see.
We have given much content.
Now, Greg, the whole thing with Patreon, Matt. The whole thing with Patreon is that you give your content on your YouTube or your podcast or whatever. For Patreon people that are paying the extra, they get extra. So
we can do bonus episodes like 10 minutes.
Yeah, bonus episodes and additional stuff, and that's what you're paying for.
We could do that.
Yeah, but we don't have any of that, Greg.
We could do that.
Well, we could do lots of things that we're not doing. Are you going to take control over the Patreon account then?
I don't know how.
I think we should do an OnlyFans thing.
Yeah. Which
is kind of like for the Instagrammers and the like shady YouTube chicks that
the old ladies
saying we're going to be like webcam sluts on Patreon.
Like, think about it.
Greg's going to show his nipples or something.
The audience is older females.
I don't think that's what they want to see, though.
Do you know that, though?
I don't know anything. That? I know nothing. My opinion is
they can't even see us at all.
They can't see us at all.
They saw how good looking we were. That could be a big thing.
Right, but that would require actually doing something with the video footage.
Yeah.
And, I have an idea for it. I don't have a plan for it. I haven't made a plan because that'll require a lot of additional work. But, yeah, I would like to do, like, specialty videos where we could do all of the times that you disappear from the camera. As like one particular video in and of itself, all the times
that will be very boring. But if you want to,
be like one extra. Well, I was thinking of using the Patreon also for all of the raw footage. In other words, the unedited versions of the show for those who want to torture themselves and listen to us do a lot of stuttering and hemming and hawing and saying and and all the other noises that I cut out for the normal podcast.
What if I send out autographs to anyone who donates on Patreon? I'm sure there's 3 people in the world who want my autograph.
I've never even seen your autograph. Is it something special about it?
No, I'm lying. That's obviously not true.
Well, no, Paula might want your autograph. We don't know.
She might.
Or your sister might want it.
Alternate reality.
Those are the 2 people we know who actually listen to the show, to the podcast.
Yeah.
Your sister and Paula. So maybe they want your autograph. Your sister might have it already, though.
Hats off to Greg's sister, by the way.
Yes.
She's a great woman.
One who's willing to listen to it, not the other sister, who will not listen to it because
I call her Saint Maria.
Because I'm too mean to Greg. Oh, so she's what All Saints Day is all about. So Halloween is about your sister Maria.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get into the demographics. So I don't think we've lost any more French listeners this week. I think it's stabilized. So we've got 88% United States, 9% France. I think last week was 8% maybe, or was it 9? Something like that. I can't remember. And then we still have a large amount of less than 1%ers from Ireland. That might bump this week with the podcast change, the title. Canada, India, Nigeria, Brazil. Did we have Brazil before? I don't think we had Brazil.
I don't think so. I don't remember that one.
Germany, Ukraine. I don't think we had Germany before either. Germany might be a new one.
Doesn't sound familiar.
Because I think we would have done like a German accent to drive them away. Ukraine, Philippines, Bangladesh, Singapore, and the United Kingdom. Still, we're listened to at 48% of other platforms than Apple, Anchor, or Spotify. And our demographics are still about 69% the ages of 45 to 59, and 66% female.
I just want to say to our German listeners, ich bin ein Berliner.
Do you know what that actually means, Greg?
I am a jelly donut.
Yes, it means I'm a donut.
So how do you say it correctly then?
Oh, I don't remember, but it's not Berliner. It's like it'd be like from Berlin or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Lost in translation.
Did you know that, or was this something that I told you?
No, I heard that years ago.
Oh, okay.
John F. Kennedy was kind of this gaffe, and it was
that was Eddie Izzard. No, that was an Eddie Izzard skit. That's where I heard it.
Oh,
no,
Eddie,
but it's really
Eddie
it's
Izzard
true.
brought it up. Well, I heard it in
true.
Germany, and it was a friend of mine who was German who told me the story. I didn't realize that it didn't mean that. And they went, yes, he basically, President Kennedy said, I'm a donut. I went, oh, that's very funny. But they said that actually endeared him to the German nation, though, because they realized he was trying, but then to say he's a donut, it made it kind of funny.
Did they laugh at the speech? I've never seen a video of that.
I don't know, but I would imagine there would have been a few people, if you could find a German with a sense of humor, who might have laughed at that. It's very possible.
Yes.
All right.
Like finding a unicorn.
I don't know. I mean, you might find a unicorn in Germany who might have a sense of humor. It's hard to say. All right. So, before I forget, everybody, don't forget we have a new website. It's qsblaw.org, and you can email us at quibble@qsblaw.org. And one easy thing, if you have your phone, is you can leave a message really easy by tapping on the microphone icon on your phone whenever you go to our website, and you can leave us a message. Whatever that message happens to be, you can leave it. Does anybody have anything profound or pithy they would like to end this particular episode, the Irish Halloween Turnip episode thing?
I'm going to be sexy Mike Pence for Halloween this year.
This has been the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker Computer Telecast, where any advice has been designed purely for amusement and deep-sea diving. Please take a candy on your way out, pet the lion tamer, and subscribe to this computer telecast if you know it's good for you. The law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker deny all culpability in today's events and are not to be confused with real law offices that have a secretary and books and stuff. Thank you all. Have a good day.